The first step into that world of performing started at 5 years old for me.
Okay.
My mum would sign me up for Saturday school, like drama classes, knowing I'd gotten through that. And actually, instead of feeling fear the whole time, I felt enjoyment. That was when I thought, okay, I can do this. So my plan A was musical theatre. I didn't even consider releasing music. I didn't even know if I could or how I could do that at first. And then everything just stopped, like, well, obviously, because the theatres were closed, there was no auditions, and it was just kind of like dead.
But what inspires you to do what you do? Where does all the motivation come from?
That's a good question.
More things.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back again. It's not like we really went far, but we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. An energetic vibe of a woman all the way from East London. A singer, a songwriter, and she dwells in all sorts of genres. Soul, pop, indie, R&B, gospel. Graduated with the first class from BRIT School, oh yes, in theatre arts. A dancer, greatly supported by BBC Introducing, the founder of Independent Musicians Collectives, and also the founder of Undertheradar London, where female creatives and non-binary creatives can express their art through music. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one and only official Shannon. I like it. How are you? You good?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah,
Good,
warming
good.
up after this cold night.
Please, warm up. We're about to get on a wonderful journey. But before we start, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we have BK Creative in the house.
Happy to be here.
Yes. Welcome back. And of course, you have your host for now and your host forever, MC Sabi Boy.
More things.
And as always, we still don't have any sponsors. What are we going to do? Well, at some point, once again, maybe Shannon will help us.
Exactly.
Every other guest says they will, but
and then they never do. But
thank you for coming on Korak. Korak, how's it been? How's life been? How's life been handling you?
It's been, I mean, we've just entered a new year, so it's been very reflective recently of kind of the year just gone, 2024.
Yeah,
and
you did the whole 2024 rap.
Yeah, I kind of did. I think everyone gets to that point with their Instagram where like, right, what have I done this year? And then they wrap it in a post, and then it's just kind of like...
The rap kills me, man. Everybody goes to find some picture, some video, even if it's them just doing...
yeah,
2024 rap.
Or just anything that kind of makes you feel like, I don't know, like you were happy at that point in the year. Not even just necessarily like an achievement, like...
Yeah, it's just that
was a
moment
good
that you
memory.
remember. Yes, good memory.
Those are important as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been busy, like running events, bringing out my Christmas album, just come out last month.
Oh yes, we'll talk about that. We'll dive into your sweet life. And 2024 looked like it was a very good year for you. And what congratulations. He has put a ring on it, I believe. Yes, he has put a ring. Congratulations. I like it. But this podcast, we usually start from one spot. You're an aspiring and a wonderful musician, and you're trying to put your music out there. But everybody would love to know your story. So we always start this podcast with a very simple question. Korak means footsteps, and every footstep is a journey you're embarking on to get to where you want to get to. Take us back to that very first step, where it all began in life. What was that first step that you took?
I'd say in terms of my music journey, the first step into that world of performing started at 5 years old for me.
Okay.
My mum would sign me up for Saturday school, like drama classes, and every year they'd put on sort of an end of year show with all the drama students, literally from 5 years old, like all the ages were involved, and there'd be like an end of year show at the local town hall. And
this is in East London, obviously.
In Chingford, Chingford Assembly Hall.
Yes. It's the end of the Weaver line.
Yeah. Now it's called the Weaver line.
Line. Then it was just a line. I don't know what it was called before.
I got given this big solo opportunity when I was literally 5. And it was singing "I Should Be So Lucky" by Kylie Minogue. And they dressed me in this pink cowboy hat and like this like cowgirl outfit. It was so funny. Obviously I didn't think of anything of it at the time, but looking back at photos, I'm like, yeah, that is my debut.
I definitely want to see those photos.
I will send you a picture and you can put it in the video.
Please do. We would love to see. We'd love to see it. So you started at 5. I always love it when parents can see that talent or that beautiful, entertaining daughter or son that they have. And you take us back to when you were 5. Was mommy or daddy musical, or is that just something that they saw in you that they were like, she definitely wants to perform?
I think my parents they're both musical in the sense that they really love and appreciate music. My dad is self-taught on the saxophone. He didn't have any official lessons. He's self-taught on the bass. That's a brilliant man. That is a tough. Have you ever tried to blow the saxophone, man? It's just spit that comes out when I try it. It's like a fountain of spit. So he thought, okay, that's cool. And then my mum, this was like later on, but my mum would join like gospel choirs. This was when I was a bit older, but they've always had passion for music. And I think I pretty much probably had that kind of desire early on as well, kind of them taking me to theatre shows on the West End. And my mum asked me, do you fancy doing that, you know, when you're older, or would you like to get trained in that? And I said, yeah, this looks fun. Like, I'd watch people on stage and go, wow, like, this is amazing. How do I do it? How do I get involved? And then Saturday drama school it was. Every Saturday 9 a.m. get up and do singing, dancing and acting classes from the age of 5, and then it would kind of continue into secondary school as well, with extracurricular school shows and that's kind of where my passion like developed more and more. I was like, hey, I can actually like I've already kind of had that foundation built in me from young to develop my skills. I might not have been good when I started, but at least I had the...
I'm sure you were. I've
seen videos when I was young before.
The pictures, the red cowboy hat tells us a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Are you an only child?
No, I have got a younger sister.
Okay. Yeah. Is she as into the creatives like you? Does she sing and sing out loud? Because you when you follow your journey and when you see you on socials, you sing like you don't care like there's anybody in the room. You sing like how I sing in the shower. You're like ready to go and you express yourself.
Yeah,
is that that obviously comes from your character as a person. Would you say your parents are like that? Is your younger sister the same way?
My younger sister's actually like a bit more reserved, but she has always enjoyed singing, but she's gone more down the psychology path.
Trying to understand why her big sister is always so happy.
Trying to analyze my behavior when I'm a bit crazy. No, but yeah, she just does sing as well, and occasionally will back me at my gigs, backing vocalist and at festivals and things. I have to really convince her to do it because she's not as kind of confident.
She's one of them. She sounds like one of those very annoying, talented people that just doesn't care. Like it's like Blessing, the man behind the voice. It's one of those musician, does everything, but he likes to pretend like he's not. It's like you know when you're dying to have that talent and somebody just takes it for granted. It's that guy.
I tell everybody, Jay hides me behind the camera.
No.
I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
I got put here.
Yeah, she's very modest and she's very good, I think. But she doesn't want to do music as a career, whereas I do. So she's very much happy to kind of like fill in when I need a backing singer or just kind of sing with me for fun. But yeah, she's very happy kind of doing what she's doing.
So you had that childhood where the belief of music was put into you, and it is something as you continue to do it, you were enjoying it, you were going to the town halls and you were doing all the shows. And so at some point, when did it dawn on you that I actually have this voice and this is something I want to do? When did it actually hit you that I want to sing, I want to be a performer? When did that happen?
I think that was probably after I had that kind of first initial solo opportunity when I joined the drama school.
How old were you at this point?
Like 5 or 6 still at this point. Even having given that opportunity to me, and like it was the scariest thing I'd done like up to that point. Like I was still very young, but it was the scariest thing I'd done, and like knowing I'd gotten through that, and actually instead of feeling fear the whole time, I felt enjoyment. That was when I thought, okay, I can do this. Like this is like what I want to carry on doing and working on. So from a young age, I've wanted to be a performer. It's been set in me since that time.
I mean, I think you're a natural. If that's once again for anybody that follows you on socials, it's like if Shannon could be saying a simple message like drink tea. So like drink tea, or like she goes into it. So how were you like as a child? Other than the fact that were you one of those who was just singing everywhere? What did life throw at you in terms of how were you in school? What were your other distractions, or was it just music?
I was very sporty in school as well.
Did you play?
I was on the girls' football team.
Oh, what position?
Striker.
How many goals?
What in my life?
We want to know the tally.
I don't know. I think I had good games and bad games, but I'd get quite a lot of goals.
Okay, cool. You understand?
100 goals per game. No. And yeah, so I think I've always been very competitive, but not necessarily in music, like in just hobbies that I do in general. So sports, and yeah, I've always been modest though. I'd never be a show off in school. I'd always kind of like know what I had in me and know what I enjoy. And when the opportunity presents itself, I would go 100% for it. But there wouldn't be kind of like this, oh, look at me, I'm going to sing everywhere. Like that wasn't really how I was as a person. And I'm still kind of, I guess, not that person now either. I'm still kind of, I'd say I'm like still quite a modest person, although I have to promote myself, on social media. And it's kind of like, in a sense, that kind of is like, look at me. You kind of have to do that to like thrive.
I mean, it is your product. You are your product. So you have to push it out there.
But as a person every day, like I wouldn't be singing in your face. Like I only sing when it's like, when the vibe.
The vibe. So naturally, I can tell that, I mean, the way you've described your sister, you're obviously the most vibey in your house. And it seems like seeing you hang out with your friends and all that, you're probably the most vibey. So moving forward from 5-6, you had your solo opportunity, you're good in sports. Now, when you think back in terms of blending, this is the dream, this is the career, how did you go forward from there? Did you play any instruments?
Yeah, so my mum also encouraged me to start doing guitar lessons in primary school. So I was 8 years old by that point, and I started taking lessons, and a lot of my friends did as well. So it's quite a social kind of thing. I wasn't doing it one-on-one. We had group classes. So it would always be a fun kind of, we get to skip class to do guitar lessons. It was a bit of fun, and then I thought I was getting quite good at it because I literally would just go through all of the exercises really quickly that he gave. I was like, cool, what's next? I think I'm a very quick learner, like academically as well, and with kind of, with skills within music. So I was kind of like, I just want more. I want to learn more things. So, I got really skilled in guitar and started writing music. I was like, oh, now I can play something. I can play alongside my singing as well and try and write songs.
Did you start writing music at 8 years old? At the time that you started learning the guitar? Or did that come as something that
probably a couple years later.
Because usually people start with like poems and, start talking about love and writing about things that they don't know.
I loved writing poems at school
I knew it.
In English, that was the thing I was good at.
Are you one of those that you love?
Yeah.
Oh, you love love. I could tell from your music.
I love love, and I love expressions of love, and I love, I think, there's something really nice about how poems reflect love as well. Poems or something.
Is love one of them things that even if you don't have to experience it to write about it? Because the question I always ask is, if you're writing poems at early ages, what experiences were you writing off, or were you writing about what you felt love was?
I don't think I was writing about love when I started writing songs. I'm trying to think. I think I wrote my first song when I was, how old are you in year 6? Like just the year before secondary school, like 11. Yeah. But it wasn't about, what was it about? I don't know. I wrote a song. It wasn't about love, but maybe it was about friendship, or you can still feel like feelings of betrayal with friendship, or like, you don't want to let go of your best friend, because there's also that time where you might be going off to different schools. But I can't remember what I was writing about, but it was probably something to do with feelings as a primary school kid that's about to graduate into the next like kettle of fish with secondary school and meeting new people and leaving friends behind. So it was probably something about one of those things.
So you are natural at 5, guitar learning at 8, writing poems in year 6, 10, 11 about feelings and friendship. And was it a natural thing that to go, you know what, I'm going to do theatre arts here? Or how did you gravitate towards, because you've clearly said you love to go to the theatre, you like, the expression. How did you decide, okay, this is what theatre arts is what I want to do? How did that decision come?
So then I went on to secondary school, which was still a local school in my area. It wasn't a performing arts school, just a normal school. And I still joined in with everything that was to do with music that the school offered. So I'd started classical singing lessons, but my mum then was like, well, we can't afford to pay for you to have guitar lessons and singing lessons, so you got to choose which one. So I thought, I've got a bit of a basic understanding of guitar now, so let's kind of pause that for a bit. I'll just keep doing it at home myself, look on YouTube and try and advance myself there, but I actually want to learn how to sing properly. So I started doing classical singing lessons from year 7, so the first year of school, and I did my grades in classical singing. So I did grades 1 to 5, so I did 1 grade every year of school.
How do you even get graded with classical? When people talk about, so there's a lot of, so when you see like vocal coaches out there,
yeah.
So I understand there's any way you put your mouth, there's any way you put your eye or something, I don't know, you're like, and the sound comes out differently.
Yeah.
But how do they grade you with classical singing? Is there like a high pitch, or how does it work?
It's very tough. It's very technical, because if you think of classical, like there's so much that goes into singing that you don't even think about, like breathing. That will be one of the first things you learn before you even sing a note. How to breathe properly, how to hold a note for a certain amount of time. It takes a lot of skill and a lot of foundation and grounding. So I did a lot of that work first, and then what I got graded on was the things that kind of I worked towards later, which was kind of, what did we do? So you do oral tests. So they'd play a tune on the piano and you have to sing it back, for example. So that tests your ear and your listening and your musicality with singing notes back. And that's a right or wrong answer. If you sing it wrong, the wrong note, then it's, you're not getting the grade there. But it's all of these tests and sight singing as well, reading music. I didn't know how to read music, so I was getting trained on doing that with my singing teacher.
Like with the reading music thing, it's funny because I like music so much. I believe live music is like the best form of music, and understanding and merging it with obviously stories. So people always think I can read music. You're like, yeah, so the G and the this. I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. It just sounds okay to me. It's fine. So the reading music is like in depth. So you were everything was music.
Yeah, it became like, it was like boot camp for singing, but like in the most technical way. For learning classical singing, it was learning the music, learning the Italian phrases in music. So not only just learning music as another language, learning Italian phrases and words that is written in the music, and also learning performance skills as well, which is another side of it. I think that really gave me the foundation to start being like singing correctly, if that makes sense, in terms of technique and how I can sing so high and sing so low. That was like my singing teacher working on my range during that time. And then the theatre came into it when the school I was at was offering opportunities to be in their school show productions. So this was the musical theatre. So they put on musicals like Hairspray. What else did we do? We Will Rock You, Grease. And I'd auditioned for all of them. So I got in all of them, and most of them I was just in the background as an ensemble because I was still learning. And I don't know, some people like cast certain people because they look a certain way or whatever. But
I mean, so years ago I spoke to a musician, and she's training singing, dancing, what do they call this in drama school?
Musical theatre, drama school.
One of those things. Training one of those things. And she actually spoke about the caste system in terms of casting who they want. And she was very confident that before you walk into the room, they know if it's a no or yes. It has nothing to do with whether you can sing. Did you feel that way?
It's hard when you're at school because like I don't know, and the way you perceive yourself when you're that young as well, like I just thought like I can do anything because I've had this experience for so long. Since I was 5, I can perform, I can do this. So I was always rooting for myself. And then when you don't really like get cast in something that you want, again, it's hard because like looking back, I probably wasn't good enough because I wasn't old enough for that part or whatever. But at the time, you're kind of like, I'm going to root for myself until the end. But
did you ever have any doubts? Did you start doubting yourself at any point?
Yeah, because I think in the theatre world, it's always cutthroat with like just auditions in general, because you put yourself out there on a plate, and then for someone to say no, it's kind of like you just kind of self-evaluate and you're like, oh, like what did I do wrong, or how can I do better next time? Like what is it that, and sometimes you don't even get feedback, so you're left wondering, oh, what was it they didn't like, or how can I get that opportunity next time? So I think that was setting me from early on, like growing a thick skin from like no's and not knowing why they were a no. And yeah, but it wasn't until year 10, so I was 14, 15, I got my first like main part in a school show. It's like, finally I made it. Like I've been at school 4 years.
Was there a cry of relief?
Yeah, I was like, I saw, because they always put, it's kind of like, you know, like those American TV shows where they put up like the cool casting list and everyone's gathered around. It was literally like that. And I was like at the back and I was like, please, please, please. And I get to the front and I see my name and I'm like, yes. And fun fact, that show I got a main part in, I was at school with Olivia Dean.
Oh, hello.
And she was in that show with me. She got the other main part. And look where she is now.
Olivia Dean, if you're watching, man, we need to ask you a few questions.
I would love to support you. Remember who I am.
Off the back of what you just been saying, my question to you then would be, being that young and already going through the audition process, because I've heard, and like Jay said, we've heard it's a savage process.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that pressure? How do you deal with the pressure? How do you deal with the no's? What keeps you going, especially that young as well? Because as kids, like, not that we're not told no, but you kind of go into this world thinking, if I want to do something, I'm just going to do it. And being told no at that age, I don't know how I would have dealt with no's at that age. And you said it was only in year 10, but to me that's still really, really young.
Yeah,
being in year 10. So how did you deal with that?
I think something really important is surrounding yourself with good friends and having a good support system around you that still believe in you no matter what. So even if you don't get the opportunity, you can talk to someone about it, or a close friend, and like they can be the shoulder to cry on, or the person that can comfort you about it. And then, you know, someone that can kind of still be like, it's fine, just audition next year, or, you know, keep going. And but also you still have to have that element of belief in yourself as well. So I don't know, I think you just gotta, it is really tough, because there are probably countless amount of times I've cried over not getting something that I believed I should have. But again, you just kind of, when it happens enough, it kind of becomes regular, so that when you get a yes, it's the best thing in the world, and you just treasure those moments even more so, because it felt so much harder to get. So yeah.
What did you have time for in terms of, apart from the music world? Music was like your true love. So I always try to understand like the different directions people go. Was there ever a plan B?
A plan B. Well, the plan A was always trying to get on the West End as a West End leading lady, because you've got musical theatre and music, and they're kind of, although they have a lot of crossing paths, they are two different industries and two different worlds. So my plan A was musical theatre. I didn't even consider releasing music. I didn't even know if I could or how I could do that at first. So I guess filling in the gaps there. So I kept doing school shows, and then got this main part, and then as end of school came, year 11, and it was like, right, I'm going to audition for the BRIT School. I want to carry on doing this. I'm on a high. I feel like this is my true like want in the world. And I auditioned for the BRIT School for musical theatre. Olivia Dean had gone there the year after me, but I'd gone, because I think I was a year above her at school. And there was some good singers in my school as well. There was some girls in the years above me, and they'd already gotten in the BRIT School. So all the teachers were talking about it, like, yeah, did you hear she got in there? And I was like, I'm going to audition for this BRIT School. Like, and it's free. It's one of the only free performing arts schools in the UK. So
nice.
It's worth doing. It doesn't cost you anything to audition either. So it was just like, try my best.
There you go, people. That's a plug for the BRIT School, man. You heard it here on Korak first. So you went to BRIT School, which you finished with the first class.
I did.
Congratulations.
Yeah, 2 years of college.
2 years of college. That's amazing.
Class.
I like it. So at that point with the first class finishing, did you think, this is it now? I definitely will get into the theatre world. Or at that point was releasing music and actually creating your own songs. Did that start creeping into your mind?
Music didn't actually come until I was at uni. So a few years after that. Because at that point at the BRIT School, I was still like, all I want to do is sing, act and dance.
Yeah.
I want to be on the West End leading lady. Like this has been like all these moments, it's been leading up to this. Like, where do I go next? But the thing is, it doesn't just stop at the BRIT School, because there's training that you're meant to do after that at like drama school, which is post-college. It's like equivalent to uni basically. But it's like most of them are private drama school institutions that if you don't get a scholarship, it's a lot to pay for. And if you don't have the money, then unfortunately you just can't go, which is, it's not great. So I was like, right, I'm going to try my best to just audition everywhere. I auditioned for loads of different London drama schools, a lot of them private where you have to self-fund or hope for a scholarship. And I was basically unsuccessful. Probably like 4 out of 6 of them I didn't get a place, and like out of those ones I didn't get in, those are the ones I really wanted to get into. So I was really upset about that, and I was like, oh, this is my future, like I've not gotten into 2 of the schools I wanted to, what am I going to do? And then I was kind of like, I just got to look at my options. Where did want me, like where saw potential in me? And those 2 places were BIM in London and the University of Chichester. So I had to decide between, the BIM was kind of more of a music course though, rather than musical theatre, because they don't really do that. And then the University of Chichester was a musical theatre degree. So I was like, right, what do I do, music or musical theatre? And because I was so consumed in this, I want to be a theatre star, I went with the uni degree in musical theatre. And it was a really good 3 years, and I'm glad I made that decision, because although I've not stuck with musical theatre at the moment, it gave me like even more of a thick skin, like doing auditions and being in that world of like,
so I take it the auditioning and the being told no and all that continued in that.
Yeah, because it makes you a stronger performer. Like getting rejection just makes you want it even more. And if it doesn't, then that means you're going to give up. And I was not prepared to give up, because I was like, right, I'm paying for this degree. Like, I'm really enjoying what I do and the opportunities that are presented to me. So I'm going to give it all I've got. And it's just, I think it's really character building as well. It's really made me who I am today. Like, because it just prepares you for life, for the real world as a performer, I think. So, yeah. So I got to the end of my degree. I got a first class in that as well. So I've got 5 years now of training behind me.
And 2 first classes. I
2
like
first
it.
Classes,
some people haven't even flown that in their entire life. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And then you come out of uni and you're like, right, I've got all this behind me. Someone must hire me. I've got such good grades. I've done everything I need to do. I've been to the BRIT School, which is a big name. And then reality hits you after you leave uni. And it's kind of like, the real work now begins.
Yes, this is where it actually just starts. You have just been going through the motions.
It really does.
And it's good that you talk about it. So the 2 things that you mentioned is, you seem like, obviously anybody that follows you sees the vibe and all that you put into your work. You also seem like you keep a very good friendship circle. Have you had like the same friends for a while now, or like since you were little, or you have, every now and then a new one jumps in, especially in the musical world?
Yeah, I've had, because I've been with my partner since we were at school, and we always had the same group of friends.
How many years is this? I get confused when people say school and things. To me, everything is school. University is school. So when you say this, we've been at school.
So we've been together since we were 14, and we're now both 27.
Some marriages don't even last that long, girl. I can tell you that. Well, that's good. Congratulations.
Yeah,
so you have been singing melody to this. This boy is lucky. Singing melody to this boy for a while.
He was actually, he started out in a band at school, and I was singing with them.
It's always the band
he
members.
was playing bass.
Thought I bass or drummer.
That's a great. Yeah,
I like him already. Bass.
I love him already.
Lesson plays the bass, so he roots for the bassist.
He's always been bass first instrument.
Oh, you're marrying a great man.
You're there. But that's really good. That's good. So life hit you. You realize that, okay, I need to push forward in terms of this hiring is not coming, the auditions are going. What then happened after that?
So graduated uni. We had this little, at the end of uni, graduate showcase where we performed pretty much a showcase in a London theatre, and agents were invited, because what you're meant to do is kind of secure an agent once you graduate, and the agent will get you auditions. You can do it self-represented, but it's a lot harder to get those bigger, like open bigger doors for yourself when you're self-represented, because an agent backing you kind of, I don't know, they always kind of, you're always more likely to get bigger auditions that way for West End jobs and things like that. So I was like, right, I've got to get an agent, do this agent showcase. And then, well, COVID hit the next year. So I graduated the summer of 2019. And then I did start working with an agent who was getting me auditions. And then it didn't work out with that first agent for... That's another story for another day.
That'll be another podcast or something.
Yeah.
But when somebody goes this and they close their eye, man, that's how you know it was deep.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama that happened with this first. I got into this first performing contract and then realised it wasn't legit, and then the agent didn't do much to help me, and I was like, I'm not going to work with him again. So I got it with my second agent. And then he was actually really good, and then got me a lot of auditions for new musical workshops and things. And yeah, I was really getting my foot in the door. And then, so I was with him for like 6 months, and then COVID hit, and then everything just stopped. Like, well, obviously, because the theatres were closed, there was no auditions, and it was just kind of like dead. And that's when I had the big switch. It was COVID that kind of meant that I was at home. And I was picking up my guitar a bit more, and I was like, I'd already started writing a few songs at uni, but I didn't do anything with them. I just played them on my guitar, recorded some videos, and that was it. But I was like, I wonder how people release music. Like, how do people do that? How do people become an artist? Like, I'm just a girl with my guitar. How would I take that next step to like get a song like radio ready? And then I worked out just by kind of looking at people online or just following other people's journeys as independent artists, that they work with producers or they produce themselves. But a lot of people that don't know how to produce work with producers. They get a song produced, mixed and mastered, and then they release it on distribution programs and sites, and then their song's out there. And I was like, it took me a while to work all of that out, but I was over lockdown, I was watching TikTok became a big thing, and I was seeing people blow up on TikTok and telling their stories, and I was like, I think my songs have potential that I've written, so let me try this for myself while I've got this time. I've got no auditions. Let me try and meet a producer or a few producers and see who I could work well with, and see if they see my vision for a song and see what ideas they can come up with.
I mean, you did say you pick stuff up really quickly, so
yeah,
I'm sure that was like
did a lot of learning.
I was trying to look for. It's interesting you talk about COVID, and because I was trying to look for. I saw one of your posts where you were talking about walking into this 5 years ago.
Yeah,
had no idea.
Yeah,
not many women on the scene, and you're just a girl with your guitar. But a girl with her guitars come a good, nice way, I must say. So you met producers, they saw your vision, and then what was that? What was the first song that you actually wrote and released?
My first song I wrote and released was called Worth It, and it was actually reflecting on a past relationship, not the one I'm in now, but the past relationship.
Sorry, there was one before you were 14.
Yeah,
there people have relationships before they were 14. Oh my God.
And it was kind of like...
and then you wrote that like years after.
Yeah, I did, because that was one of the songs. What I did was all the songs I wrote up until that point I had in a book, and I was like, these are my songs, and I'd upload them all to SoundCloud just as a basic recording of guitar and voice, and be like, here's my songs. And I said, you choose which one you want to work on with me, because I know all of them, you know, I could work on all of them, but I want to know what one you hear has potential. So I met my first producer, Rachel, and we met on Gumtree, of all places, which is very random.
Gumtree releases some good stuff every now and then, especially sofas. You want to get like a nice sofa.
But you wouldn't think like you'd meet a music contact on Gumtree, but I was kind of like, because it was COVID, I was like, I need to like, I can't go out to gigs to meet people. There's nothing happening. And I was like, so you just use online sites to kind of find anyone. I went on Facebook pages, but it was just very noisy on Facebook, and I couldn't really find anyone particular that wanted to work with me. So I was like, I'm just going to upload all the songs I've written, basic form, on SoundCloud. Here's my like list of 5 songs, for example. I put it on Gumtree, and then loads of producers replied to me saying, I want to work with you, I want to work, this sounds cool. And then I was like, well, who do I pick?
Yep, now it's switched. You need to actually pick somebody.
Yeah, so, and these are all just like messages online. I don't know the person. So it's like, I need to meet up with this person, whoever I choose, or do an online call just to get a vibe of what they're like, because all I'm seeing is text. So I'm like, I can't put my trust in just text. Like at first I just need to see what the vibe is like. So I think I saw there was only one female name that came out of the Gumtree listing, and it was someone called Rachel Emily Steele. And I was like, and she wrote the most detailed paragraphs about what she liked about my music. So I thought, she seems the most interested.
Yeah, she's done her research.
She's done her research. She's listened to the tracks, and she's like already given me ideas. So I was like, I really like her message. It's like a female name I've seen. I was just like, I want to collaborate with her. Let me like, and we met up for a coffee.
You kept your distance though, you know.
Yeah. I think it was at the time where you could just like, kind of, you could meet and whatever. But yeah. So we had a coffee, and I was just we're just talking, and you know when you meet someone and you just click straight away.
That's exactly how Blessing felt when he met me.
Yeah.
It's like he was thinking, I want to be this guy.
Yeah. So we got on really well, and she had so much experience behind her as a producer. She'd already done it for 10 years for her own band. She sent me her Spotify a page of her band, and I really enjoyed like everything I listened to in terms of production. I was like, I found a really good producer here. So I was just like, thank you, Gumtree. You did a good pair in there. That's
good. So, and since then, it's just, I mean, looking at your music catalog, you've done some good songs. Worth It was the first one. So
yeah.
How long did you work with Rachel?
I worked with her for maybe 1 or 2 years, and I think 1 year, and we did 3 songs. So I brought on my first 3 singles working with her.
Oh, that's really good. Big up, Rachel. So when everything cleared up and you could actually do gigs, take me back to that first gig. How was it? How did you feel? Nervous? How did it feel actually going, okay, this is not the theatre, but this is a new me? How did that feel?
Thinking back, I think I did a few unofficial gigs. So I did like open mics first, just to test the waters and like make new connections. But my first actual gig as Shannon, back then I wasn't official Shannon, I was just Shannon when I started out. I mean, going into my first gig, had to promote it first, and I was kind of very new. I didn't have much of a fan base. I was literally like, right, this is me, I'm just starting out, and please come to my gig. But it's actually that first gig I put on my post on Instagram with Underground Sound, and they are a promoter that puts on like very small artists, a lot of them most of the time starting out. But back then, I don't know if they do this now, but back then they would pretty much put a lot of pressure on you to sell tickets. So they would take money from you before you've even sold the tickets. So it'd be your responsibility to sell the tickets, if that makes sense, rather than them. So it's kind of like, as a promoter, looking back, what are they actually doing? Because they didn't post on their page about the show. Maybe they posted once. Oof. And it was all down to me to like, I'm losing money here before I've even done the gig. And I was just like, surely this isn't how being a musician is supposed to be. Like,
it's a practice that a lot of outfits actually do. One of the reasons when we with Korak, I mean, as you know, we don't do that. Shannon will be performing at Korak, live music show, people. Yes, 4. So we don't do that. So I think the idea behind it was to make sure. So I'm a big encourager of, at the end of the day, it is your show, and no matter the outfit you're under. So I'm a big, push it out there as much as you can.
Yeah,
own it, put it out there. But in terms of actually taking money from people, as a musician, especially when you're starting out, it's tough. And it's not just music. A lot of other outfits do it, sports as well.
Yeah.
And it comes with difficulty. I know a lot of musicians just want to sing. They just want to, but unfortunately, we don't live in that world.
Yeah, I think it was just quite hard, like experiencing that for my first gig, especially like with like loads of gigs after. I've never done a gig like the same way that they kind of pressured me to sell and like took money from me. I've never had that experience since. So to know that like there is a way like to kind of put on a gig and not stress so much, because it really stressed me out. It really like put me off working with them. Will
people come? Oh, it's my first show. You want to have a crowd there? Is this one of the things that led you to actually creating your own events?
It's one of the things that in hindsight inspired me to put on events, because I guess it was around that time where I was kind of like, if I was to put on my own event, I wouldn't run it like this. Like the lineup I was on that first gig with them, they put a mishmash of genres, like about 8 artists, too many artists on a bill, different genres, different types of people in the crowd. Like it just didn't make sense, and it just felt like they did just like so many of these gigs, they were pumping them out. They didn't care about the curation. I was like, if I was to put on an event, I would think about the curation very like carefully. I'd carefully curate a lineup of people I thought were really talented and get appropriate like crowds for said artists, so they would be engaged and be listening while they're there and come back again and again. So that was one of the things. But also I have had more gigs after that weren't as good. Like they weren't good either, in terms of like I got hired for a cocktail bar for a gig, and I was like, oh, where's the sound engineer? And she was like, oh, there isn't one. And I was like,
just plug your stuff in.
What do you mean? Yeah, like I didn't know how to use a PA. At that point, I'd never done it before. So I was like, oh, is this box the thing I'm meant to use? And she was like, yeah, I don't know. And I got no support. I was with my guitar as well, so I had to like set the levels, and then like I didn't even know how to do that. And then I got loads of feedback, and everyone was just looking at me. I was so embarrassed. I was like, I have no support here. So that was another reason I was like, right, if I was to run events, they wouldn't be so like as an unorganized as this, where you haven't even got the staff to like make sure your musicians sound good.
Oh, hey guys, sorry to interrupt your episode. I hope you can please subscribe, hit that notification button so we can get more and wonderful, incredible guests, and you can continue to listen to the Korak podcast. Till then, more thanks. Go back to the episode. Well, I mean, moving forward, you have grown in terms of things that you do now with your music, your songs, and we'll talk about that. But before we talk about the songs, man, you are the founder of Undertheradar London.
Yes.
And also the founder of Independent Musicians Collective.
Not the founder, I'm a part of.
Oh, you're part of, okay.
Yeah, I've collaborated with them.
Oh, yes.
And I'm part of them.
You collaborated with them a lot for your gospel album.
Yes.
Which, so you do pop, indie, R&B. What's the genre that you feel is your best? And how did you get into gospel?
Primarily, my genre, I think, is soulful pop. I say soulful for the vocals I bring. So, like I said, starting out, I had this foundation of classical singing where it was very opera-y sounding and just very much learning the basics. And then I guess I had, growing up after that, I had all these different influences of rock and soul and R&B and pop or whatever was popular at that time as well. But I had a really eclectic like exposure of music, and I think developing my sound as an artist myself, I've always like clung on to those soulful influences, and kind of more the indie comes from like Leanne LaHavis, when I got kind of inspired by her when I discovered her in lockdown. And my mum and dad grew up on Stevie Wonder, and that's always been like in our household. And I still do regularly Stevie Wonder tribute gigs with the Independent Musicians Collective, so I'm always singing his repertoire as well, and he's just got so much music. But primarily I think all of that exposure to different genres, I've been able to like kind of find my sound and where I fit in, and that is primarily like soulful pop. And then with the gospel has been an inspirational genre since my mum started joining gospel choirs, and like getting me to join. And there'd be events where like there'd be like a I don't know, like helping the homeless, or doing some of those nights where it'd be part of the choir and you'd be doing charitable causes, and there'd be a performance as well. So my mum would like invite me down to a lot of those, or just take me to those as a kid. So that's always been there growing up as well. And also members of the Independent Musicians Collective are formed from the London International Gospel Choir.
Oh, nice.
So naturally we are also a gospel inspired group as well.
How many of you in the group?
Oh, it does change because we're a collective, but I'd say probably about 8 of us. But on the EP there's 6 of us, because I had to kind of like, the studios I worked in to record it were really small, so I had to really refine the group.
You picked your friends. You picked your friends first, and then
they're all my
else,
friends. It was hard to
I mean, it is you and the collectives. You guys have done. I believe you have sold out Pizza Express a few times.
Nearly 10 times. I think 10 times. Yeah.
That's more than a few, man. More than a few. Congratulations! That's a big achievement. And you had a Christmas show, I believe. And
yes.
I think it was the same day as the Korak event. That's why I didn't turn up. But yeah, it was
sold out though a month before.
I saw it. I saw you.
It was hard to get a ticket for that one. Yeah.
I think what happens is that it's the usual. I mean, the same situation we have with Korak. Sometimes you go, you push the tickets out there, and you're just waiting, and then maybe a week before people. I don't know why people can't be organized.
Yeah.
But with you on the bill now, I mean, whew, what we saying, girl? What we saying? So I mean, the collectives are doing well, and then Undertheradar London. How did that all come about?
Yeah, so
I mean, considering that you seem like you never have time. Like I remember some messages we exchanged. I was like, "Oh, do you have 5 minutes?" You're like, "Nope, don't have 5 minutes." I was like, "You don't have 5 minutes." You're like, "They should give me like
at the time
I'm doing this. So how did you even go from doing everything that you do to actually forming your own event?
So going back to kind of where I had kind of inspiration to be like, right, if I ran an event, it would be like this. It wouldn't be unorganized with no sound engineer. It wouldn't be, blah, blah, blah. And before I said I've been going to open mics, but at those open mics, like when I was starting out, I didn't really see many people like me, or like many women on stage, or even like behind the stage. So I was like, I think that what London needs, or just what the kind of music grassroots circuit needs right now, is an all-female lineup gig. And I literally hardly saw any of them being done at that point where I thought about this.
What point was this?
This was 2021.
2021, okay.
Yeah, so it had been like I'd started my own personal music journey, become an artist, and I was like, right, now I've done a few gigs, I kind of I've met a lot of people in the scene, and I've made some connections. I want to try and make this event happen, but I had no experience putting on an event, only house parties. So I was like,
I miss those.
I had one for New Year's.
Are you having one this year?
I don't know, but I had one for New Year's.
We're friends now, so I mean, if you it's on camera, so if you're having one, please feel free to invite me.
I love house parties, but yeah, so I was like, right, if I can organise an event and kind of have the kind of special, unique way of having an all independent female artist lineup, that would be kind of saying something and putting something out there on the scene that hasn't been, well, it might have been done before, but it's rarely done. So I was like, right, I have no experience. How am I going to do this? I had no clue. And someone I worked on a music video with a few years before, I saw that we hadn't really spoke for like a while, but I kept up with him on Instagram, and I saw that he'd had lots of experience taking bands on tour in the US and putting on events. And I was like, yo, I need to talk to this guy. Like, I need to be friends with him again, because I need to basically just meet up with him and get some ideas from him and see if he wants to help. He was such, from what I remember of him working on the music video, he was such an easygoing guy. Like, he would kind of be like, kind of just tell you anything you wanted to know and be very helpful. So I was just like, right, let me message him. So his name's Tom, and we are the best of friends now. Like, we have been for like 5 years, but our friendship started when I asked him, we met up for a drink, and I was like, I told him my idea, and I was like, I have this idea. I want to call it Undertheradar London, because I believe that there are so many female artists I have gotten to know, people I've trained with at uni that are singers, that haven't really had the opportunities since like we've come out of COVID to be on stage and show people what they can do and what they can achieve. And I want to just do an all-female lineup. I want to call it Undertheradar London. And he was like, this sounds amazing. And he was like, I'd love to like work on this with you. And we put on our first event February the 18th, 2022, I believe. And we had about 70 people come, which was
not bad
really
for a first
good.
event. That's not bad
But
for a
it
first
could have
event.
been more, because there were more people that were going to come. But I don't know if you remember, there was a storm called Storm Eunice.
Oh yes, Eunice.
That was the day of our event, and it stopped all of the trains coming into London that day. So my now fiance Alex, he was coming because he was studying at Bristol then. He was coming to my first event from Bristol because he was still studying, and he couldn't come because he was on the train to London. The storm hit and he had to go back.
I could just when her movie comes out, you know how they like to do it in the movies. What will happen is, as he's coming down and the storm hits, he'll get out, steal a car, dun 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 dun, drive through the storm, dun 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 dun. But that's good. 70 people though. That's actually quite good for a very show. So you've had, how many events have you had since then?
11.
Oof, I like it. That's really good. It's speaking about all female band, let me plug one of. So we had a Christmas show, and we had Logan J. Parker, and she has an all female band.
Oh, nice.
So feel free to check her out.
Yes,
Logan J. Parker. There's a backing singer, there's a violinist, there's a drummer.
Yeah.
There's a bassist. She plays the guitar as well. She plays the ukulele.
Oh, nice.
She is good. So feel free to Logan, see what I'm doing for you? Yeah.
I have a Under the Radar London group chat on WhatsApp, and so many singers are looking for female musicians specifically. Let's get this connected.
I mean, I say we're friends now.
Because
what we'll do is
there are jobs waiting for you guys.
What we'll do is, so after you perform at the Korak live music events, and then you do a house party, then you invite me, then boom, then we'll talk about.
I want to do a house party at my house, but for like music industry, but for people that I trust in the music industry that are like supporting and championing grassroots music.
Is your house big? Yeah, because that might be a lot of people, but why not?
I think it will be it will be invite only.
I mean, this is
one
of them.
Selective, but it will be like people I know that are doing a lot for the scene.
I'm telling you now, if I don't get invited, I'm going to crush it. I don't know where you live.
You are
but,
invited.
Thank you very much. I don't know.
You're both invited.
Yay! I mean, it's good. This is a very good example of giving back in terms of because a lot of people get into the music scene and it's all about what they do for them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we live in a life now where everybody wants to get paid or stuff. But you're actually doing about 11 shows in at least 11 shows in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's quite good, and it's self-funded, and you're trying to push stuff. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Trust me, I understand what it is that you're trying to do. But
Yeah.
we will get into, this is where we like to call, so we've understood Under the Radar, independent music collectives. Now, the dancing thing though, obviously you're a trained dancer, and if you, on social media, she's like a proper boom, bam, bam. You know, them, all those things. In my head, I'm thinking, first of all, where does this energy come from, man? Where does all this energy come from? I can just see a lot of the videos that I see, even when you're doing like what I would probably call private sit-ins with like a guitarist, you actually think you're on stage. So where does this energy, or is it just the positivity of wanting to do great things with music?
I think I've always had to fight to be seen. So I've had to like fight to get a place in a show. Like during auditions, you have to be the best of the best to get picked, right? For like musical theatre, right? So I think I've just always been, and like you always have to be like, when you're a performer for musicals, you have to be like the most exaggerated version of whatever it is you're trying to be. So I've always been taught and trained to like project my voice so the old grandma at the back row will hear you. Literally, that's what was like kind of taught and ingrained in me. Like have the biggest smile, so like the both sides of your lips will touch literally the walls in the theatre. Like it's literally always been like, be the biggest you can, like so you can be seen and cast in something, and that will be like, that will take you to your next step of your career. So I think that's probably where I've kind of been like, I have to give 100% and be 100% so I can kind of enjoy the next thing. And I don't know, I think just naturally I've always given 100% in everything I've done, and that's just kind of always big energy. And because I've had feedback where it's like I've never been told I'm too much. Like maybe some people might think it and they can think what they like, but I've always had positive feedback from my energy, and it reciprocates energy in them.
You're definitely what they call good vibes. So I never used to understand where you're one of those, you see your stuff, you're just very, it's a good thing, don't stop. So we're at the point where we try to understand the lyrics of your music, because we want to, that's one of the things we do in Korak, to understand the lyrics, what it means to you, and for other people that to get interpretation. So this is what we'll call this, we used to call it the Korak Deep Dive. Let's call it, let's call it, what we call it, let's give it a good name.
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Oh, that's not a name, that's you actually.
No.
Just checking. Let's go Korak discussions, lyric discussions. Let's go Korak lyric for now.
Discussions.
Korak lyric. So we'll find
That
a better
works.
name.
Yeah.
Okay. Study. So one of the things, so it's actually understanding the music and the footsteps in the music, what it means to you, and you know how you want it to be taken, your actual interpretation. So first of all, congratulations on your EP, Higher Love.
Thank you.
That was a good album, very gospel, very Christmassy. My favorite song is Seasons of Love. That is a good song, man. You should listen to
Do
it.
you know
Seasons
the
of
musical
Love.
it's from?
No.
It's from Rent.
Rent. I
Yeah,
don't
there's
even
a
know
musical
Rent.
called Rent. I forgot who it was written by. But it's
I'm gonna watch it now.
Rent.
It's a very good song.
It's not a good musical, but it's the best song from the musical. Yeah,
At
I
least-
don't rate the musical.
At
but
least something came out. At least something came out of it. Yeah, but we'll see. Seasons of Love, people. You know, that was 2024, her latest EP. But the song there, which is Higher Love. Now it says, "I've been guided by simple things, the pleasures they bring, the warmth I've been missing, and I was losing my peace within, distracted by everything with the cold closing in. I found myself without joy, with no place to begin. Suddenly there was a voice, and it helped me believe." So this is your song. You wrote this, and it's gospel inspired. What is it about? Where did you find yourself, and how did that voice, liberate you and help you?
So I gave myself a challenge last Christmas, 2023, to write a Christmas song, an original Christmas song for this project. And this was the song that came out of it. And I was thinking, if I'm writing a Christmas song, what's it going to be about? And I was in a session like last January with two very good songwriters, and I had to give them something to go off of. Like, this is my song. It's got to be from, it's got to be coming from a place where I've been inspired, or I've felt something I want to say. And what those lyrics came from was actually a feeling of self-doubt I had kind of a month before I wrote it. And you do get those bumps in the road as a artist, singer, songwriter, where you're feeling like, well, what I'm giving might not be enough, and am I doing enough, and am I good enough? And it came from that place of like, I'm just trying to think of one of the lines that there was one of the lines you said that was kind of hit the nail on the head.
And I was losing my peace within,
yeah, I was losing my peace within, like distracted by everything. So that distracted by everything is kind of like the social media and like comparing yourself. Because I've written other songs about don't compare yourself, but you don't always listen to your own advice, right? And you do end up doing that. It's just sometimes inevitable. So all that comes creeping back in. So the beginning of that song is pretty much about, I've had my self-doubt and I want to get out of it. I want to get out of that period of self-doubt, but how do I do it? And then suddenly, out of nowhere, a voice tells you that you can. And for me, that voice was actually someone that is doing a lot for small artists at the moment. And it's just a really small thing she did, but it really kind of took me out of a bad place and made me think I can do this. And what she did was she was lip singing some lyrics to one of my songs on TikTok. And when you're a small artist, it's kind of hard to get other people to, make videos with your music, because you need enough people to hear your music for them to even kind of feel inspired of their own choice to do that. And I didn't tell her to make a video of my song. She just did it, and she posted it on her page and tagged me. And I know it sounds like the smallest thing, it's just like a TikTok video, but actually when I was feeling really low and really down about myself and where am I going, what's my direction here, can I do this, she posted that video. And even though it's the smallest thing, it just made my day. And it made me think, well, how did my emotions turn around so quickly like that by one small video that someone's tagged me in? And it made me think this could be good songwriting material. I was feeling down, not myself, and just having this really bad, not a lot of self-belief. And then suddenly there was a voice and it helped me believe. And I feel like a voice can take many forms for different people in this situation. And for me, it was that. But for other people, it could be in the form of God, for example, or in a religious aspect, or it can be from a really good friend or a parent, or a child even. So it's kind of finding or having that love given to you, which is why I called it higher love, because
it goes, you say, you're not enough. We need that higher love to brighten up the dark, because no one does it like you. So it's
reconfirming that you are good enough. No one else is doing what you're doing the way you do it. And it's kind of that one thing. So for example, that thing I said, that one thing has just kind of reignited your spark again and enabled you to believe in yourself.
The song does end with, people will love me, I won't let it get me down. People will try to knock the ground, nobody here can beat the sound. So share that higher love around.
Yeah, so it's carrying on.
I can write here, this is me. I can write.
So it's, despite everything that gets in your way, all the obstacles that you can face in music, which you will face in music, because it's a tough industry out here, you won't let it get you down. They will try to knock your crown, but if you keep it safely and firmly on your head, there's no knocking it. If you believe it should be there, it will be there and it will stay.
It's a good song, people. You should listen to it. It's deep too.
Yeah, it's deep, and it can mean a lot of things for a lot of different people, I think.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about music. You're also you speak your mind a lot, especially with a lot of posts that you do and things that you do, which is why one of the songs I was trying to understand here is "Blame It," and this is really it's one of them songs that it feels like you're telling people off in a good way.
Yeah.
So it says, "If you don't like the way things are, try to change it. Don't sit back, relax, and find somewhere to blame it. Somewhere to blame it. Honey, just move out my way and don't complain if you won't implement change. It's crazy how much this happens in this day and age. You think we already learn from our mistakes, but that's just the human race. Repetition goes unnoticed until big acts are made. It shouldn't take a death for injustice to change. And that's a effing outrage." Sorry, I don't swear. So if you don't like the way things are, try and change it. Who are you shouting on?
This song is, it's the lyrics are out of frustration, definitely. And I actually kind of released this at a really good time where it was the general election. I didn't even know, because it was last year the general election was just called suddenly, and I was like, I got this unreleased song, and I was thinking, when am I going to release it? I was like, oh my god, politics, this is the best time.
Are you political?
Yes.
Okay.
And no, but what I get annoyed at, and a lot of other people do as well, is that people kind of they'll complain about things, because politics is in everything. It's in everything we do, and it's like controlled by politics, and essentially like everyone in this country has a vote, but if they don't exercise that vote, I don't think they have the right to complain. That some people don't vote for anything, and then they go, oh, why is it like this? But if they maybe bothered to vote, they could have made a difference. So it's kind of like a frustration of like those kind of things that happen in this country, I guess.
And I'm not sorry for saying everything about this is wrong. I am not playing practice what you preach. Don't just sit there and say it and target where the blame is. You can't fight the fire from inside the house. Instead, you have to escape. But you're not always lucky. And what is a life where the only purpose is to get away? So you're friends with Rishi Sunak or
Absolutely not.
or somebody out there? But it's good. It's good. I mean, it's I think music gets to people quicker and faster sometimes. So a song like "Blame It," especially those that like me, that actually listen to the lyrics of songs, it's good that you tell people to. So you're a believer. Pretty much, you're going putting more action than just sitting down and talking plenty.
Yeah, because a lot of people have a lot to say about a lot of things, but putting it into an action is a whole different thing. And I mean, I wrote this from a place of kind of looking at it politically, but the producer I wrote this song with, he wrote the guitar, because the chords in this are crazy, like jazzy, and
come and listen to it, people.
I have no hope in hell in playing it on guitar myself, so I wrote it with a very talented jazz guitarist called Simon. He's an instrumental artist called SFM 35.8. He releases albums all the time, and he's one of those geniuses that can like just play a lot of crazy talented things. But he took this song as kind of looking at it to sort of better yourself, rather than, so I knew what I was writing about, and it was kind of from a political angle, but he kind of looked at it as like keeping yourself accountable, which was, I was like, oh, I didn't see it like that, but I guess his interpretation of the song was different to mine, and I was like, that still works as well, like for a meaning of those lyrics, and kind of keeping accountable from what you're saying you're going to do. Doing it is another thing. Are you actually going to implement change and what you think should happen? So that was quite interesting.
It was. And then, of course, we go to one of the singles you released last year, 2024.
Yes.
Never Going to Be Her. Now, this song was a bit confusing. Initially, I was like, is this a breakup song? Is this a love song? Is this one of them songs? But then it goes, one of the best parts, or my best part of the song is, don't compare their main stage to your back of house. You think they got it good when you feel you're heading south. So let me tell you one more thing that I've learned from this. Things aren't always in your control, but treasure this. Trust the process, the journey, the highs and lows, because technically, you don't want to be in their clothes. Yes, I know they look amazing, but you are too. And look what you can do. It's like some preacher vibes.
No,
One of them, you are enough.
Yeah, my first ever rap as well.
Oh yes,
I'm rapping in
you
that
were,
song.
you were. She was.
I was
giving
very
it.
well. I'd never done rap before in music, and I was very self-conscious every time I recorded that bit. I was like, but I'm so used to singing a note, like I had to listen back to my own speaking voice, and I was like, this doesn't sound good.
It sounds good. It sounds good. I'm
But
sure you know that's why you released it.
I know it. Yeah, it sounds good now. But when I first attempted it, I was like, oh, I was just cringing at myself because I was like, I'm not a rapper. Like, I've never rapped in front of anyone before. And now I'm recording it in a song. I was just, I don't know how it's going to go. But I kept doing it and doing it. I was like, right. And then at some point, you got to stop the perfectionist in you and go, I'm going to have fun in this take. And then that's the best take, where you just let go and express yourself and like, right, what am I saying here? Let me just say it. And then I just said it, with rhythm, of course. And I got a good take, and I was like, that's what I'm going to use. Official Shannon rapping.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, there you go, people. Those are the Korak lyrics, understanding official Shannon's lyrics. Before, this is one of the big moments of the podcast, man, when BK Creative will ask you his own question.
Okay.
So cherish this moment, man. It's gonna haunt you and hold you forever.
I will.
First question: why official Shannon? What brought the name on?
Yeah.
Too many fake Shannons there.
So yeah, before, like I said, I started out as just Shannon, and then I quickly learned, like when I was learning about branding and like kind of defining who I am as an artist, because I watched a lot of like vlogs from these people that kind of claim to know like about, you know, music brands and being an artist and stuff. And I was just getting lost as Shannon on its own. On Spotify, there was so many profiles of just artists called Shannon, and I was just like, I wanted to kind of like have a name where if you search me on Google, I'll be the only thing that comes up. So I was like, I still want to be Shannon though, because Shannon is who I am, and obviously it's my name. But I was like, let me really think about what my music is about and how it can tie into this new name I want for myself. And then I was talking to a lot of music friends and producers about it, and I was like, I think I want to be called Official Shannon. And they were like, why? And they were like, because, you know, on Instagram you get people's names, it's like, I know, Official Tom Jones, and it's just like the official just means that it's their official Instagram account. But I was like, actually, I want to use the official as my artist name, because everything I talk about in my music is about being authentic and your most like official version of yourself, being true to yourself. And because that is so like honed in on in my music, I was like, I think it's the perfect word to describe who I am as an artist. Like Official Shannon, like this is the officially how it's going to go down. This is what my life is, what I'm writing about, and kind of encouraging others to believe in themselves and have self-belief in everything they do. And that's all I want to do, is inspire that in other people from my music, and it just perfectly ties in all together.
Amazing. And then what inspires you in terms of with what you're doing? You're doing a lot for other people, you're doing a lot in terms of your own career, but what inspires you to do what you do? Where does all the motivation come from?
That's a good question. I think because I was like one of the first events to bring a full female lineup, and doing that in itself was, I think, just an achievement to be able to have done that. And like I wasn't really like inspired per se by a figure to do that, but after I did that and I started discovering like other events that are doing similar things to me, like there's an event called Pussy Power, and that's an all-female lineup as well. But
any male that is there, we know what he's there for.
But I started going to that, and I just kept getting on a level with people that were doing similar things to me, and just understood the assignment of what is needed and what there isn't much of that needs to be more. And those people like kept inspiring me to keep going. So a wonderful independent artist called Jessica Wilde is the founder of Pussy Power, and she runs it at Hootenanny Brixton. She gets incredible very strong independent female artists on her lineups there, and I went to about 3 of them in 1 year. I kept going back, and I was like, yeah, like I met her and I was like, I'm doing the same thing as you, like we should really like join forces. And then I went to other events that were happening in London as well for like independent artists that were and events that were helping like charities that are to do with music as well. And I just kept getting inspired by all these people that were self-funding their events. And eventually we all got together and put on our own festival as different event companies. We're all grabbing the artists that we know and that we love, and also finding new artists and coming together and bringing all of our communities together for a big festival. And we've been running that for 3 years. So I think they've all inspired me, all these other event organisers that are doing similar things to me but in different ways, and empowering like minority people in the music industry, coming together and doing things together with them has kind of really inspired me to keep doing what I do.
Amazing. And then my last question would be, what does success look like to you? Like where do you want to go with all of this that you're doing? Where will there ever be a point where you sit down and be like, I've done what I've set out to do? Or is it just going to be a constant grind where you're working towards a goal that will always kind of be evolving as you're evolving as well?
I think to keep myself going, I always hang on to and appreciate the small wins, because if you don't, you'll always be disappointed and you'll always be chasing for something, and then when you've got that something you think you wanted, there'll be something bigger to kind of, and then you'll never kind of be truly happy. So I try and find the happiness in each day, each event, each person I meet, and I cherish that. But in terms of, I guess, my own goals with Under the Radar, I have a lot of mini goals, but one of the overall goals I have with my event series is that I want to work with the biggest artists I can, biggest female artists, for example, Ray, right? Work with a big artist like that and source their support acts with like artists that are insanely talented and deserve so like much bigger audiences, for example, that the bigger artists can provide, and just give them that opportunity, because there's not many initiatives like that. And one I really look up to is Mahalia Presents, because Mahalia uses her platform, gets people to perform in Jazz Cafe that wouldn't normally have that opportunity, but she knows that their talent is like next to none and they deserve that sort of audience. We need to see more of that, and I really look up to Mahalia Presents, and I want to kind of almost mirror what she's doing, but kind of
Korak.
Work my way up to and of course Korak, from what I've seen, it looks great as well, like championing independent artists that really deserve a great engaging audience. But so I think just securing bigger artists to get more exposure to these smaller artists, and that would be, that's where I'm headed, I think, with my events.
But there you go, BK Creative, throwing in the nice deep questions to get you thinking. Shannon, official Shannon, it's been amazing. Thank you for coming on, Korak.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, anytime. As you continue to grow and take these footsteps, your journey will get bigger. You get to the destination that you deem a success. And we'll be there right behind you. And of course, you can always come back and tell us more footsteps and give us more stories. My last question is, I like to end it. One of the things you talked about was self-doubt in your music, and being in the world of theatre, having a lot of no's. Was there ever a breaking point?
Ooh. I wouldn't say there was a fundamental breaking point for me to sort of give up, because I never did. I'd say there were a lot of like mini breaking points probably, but I think my most pivotal, my most pivotal moment was my career change, which was from musical theatre, which is what I thought I wanted to do, which I still wouldn't be opposed to go back into it now, but I'm now like music solidly. Like, I'm an artist, and that change during COVID was fundamental to my career. So that's what kickstarted my music career, like me just kind of finding a new path. And I've always written songs anyway, but just kind of that kind of opportunity presenting itself to me, kind of having that time to build things and release my own music has led me where I am now. So, well,
thank you for coming on Korak once again. Official Shannon will be performing at the Korak Live Music Event 4, telling her story through her music. So people, hit that link in the bio and get some tickets, come and see her perform. And of course, there'll be more stories, and she's telling us through the music. Thank you for being on Korak. It's been an amazing conversation, and more to come.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. As always, bringing you the queens and the kings and all the good people. But we have had Official Shannon on the podcast.
Woo!
And of course, co-host, production crew, BK Creative himself.
I'll see you guys in the next one.
And we are going to end this with words from Official Shannon herself. This is a lady that has pretty much equated motivation and inspiration. So we'll end with this. In this time when winter leaves little rest, make sure you don't forget. There's room for your happiness. I found myself without joy, with no place to begin. Suddenly, there was a voice, and it helped me believe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm MC Sabi Boy. More times.